And today we're joined by Gavin Felvus, the lead singer of Guns 2 Roses. They're a tribute band with real star appeal. They're so respected that they've performed on stage with real members of Guns N' Roses. And this summer they're coming to the racecourse for Fake Festival. So I spoke to Gavin before the show, and he started by telling me how Guns first came onto his radar.
With all the bands I like, they've always got good music videos, like Guns N' Roses, Queen, all those bands. It's their music videos that kind of get me in the beginning, you know?
Yeah.
I think it was an MTV thing. And then my friend always had them on in the car when we were on the way to college and stuff like that. And I eventually stole all the CDs off him because it's that far back. I mean, Guns N' Roses started when CDs were still being used. So
your dedication to being Axl Rose is impressive, because it's not just the singing voice and the various outfits. You pretty much stay in character full time when you're doing these tours.
Yeah, apart from, when we're up and down the motorway and in the services and stuff like that.
Yes. When you first started to sing, did Axl's voice come easily to you? Because it's very distinctive and it's so powerful and harsh.
The falsetto thing wasn't something that I was originally doing as a singer, but I had a role in a musical called Jesus Christ Superstar, and I started learning the falsetto kind of thing through that. It's something that took time and practice, I lost it at one point as well. I lost it in 2020. I thought that's it, career's over. I was so out of practice, because you got to bear in mind, for nearly 20 years I was doing the same thing every week. And then when we all had lockdown, I think it only took 3 months to undo. I couldn't hit the notes anymore without coughing. I spoke to some other singers I knew, and they all had the same thing, because none of us had, when COVID hit and we all had lockdowns, none of us had ever been out for that amount of time before. And it's not like we were practicing in our houses and stuff like that,
When it came to putting the band together and making sure that you were doing the authentic experience, how much time goes into that? The prep of watching Guns N' Roses perform, finding the clothes, the rehearsals, so much work.
When we started, there was no YouTube. You had to go to a big cream-colored PC, IBM, to go and find your research out. Everything was a lot more long-winded and harder, From the early days, we spent hours and hours studying concerts, bootleg concerts as well. And then we kind of evolved it into not our own thing, but, we added our own twist to it in a way of it's something they would have done, And that's what's kept us going so long, because it's never the same show every night.
And this has allowed you now to tour the world. I mean, looking back, could you ever have dreamed that you would have visited so many countries?
It was always my plan to, but I never thought it would. You have ambitions when you start a project, and it was always my plan to do America. It was always my plan to do Japan, stuff like that. At the time, I never thought that we actually would do that one day, and we did. It did go beyond expectations, but in the back of my mind, even back then in the early 2000s, I was like, yeah, we're going to be massive. We're going to do this. I think I was just psyching myself up, and luckily everything fell into place when it did. We were in the right place, right time. We had the association with the real Guns N' Roses members.
Yeah, you got to tell us about that, because you're one of the few tribute bands who's actually performed on stage with members of the actual band.
There's only one, we're the only ones that have done it with more than one Guns N' Roses member. There's bands out there, like there's a Bon Jovi band that's performed with John Bon Jovi as a one-off, and you do get that. There's a Foo Fighters band that had Dave Grohl on stage with them. But way back in 2006, nobody had no tribute band had an original member actually get on the stage with, the tribute to them. It was our first time. It was 2006, and Steven Adler, the original drummer, he had a tour coming up, and he needed a bunch of people that knew the songs, and that turned out to be us. A lot of people think that it was just like a couple of songs or one show. It was actually about 8 shows, and it lasted 2 weeks. So we were literally, Steven Adler was the 5th member of this band back then.
Wow.
In a way. We were technically working for him, but, he was, if you go on YouTube, Stephen Adler is the drummer for multiple shows of ours. And then a few years later, Gilby Clarke, who was the rhythm guitarist on the Use Your Illusion tour, I had a collaboration with him in Camden Underworld. We were on the bill with him, and then we went over and we did a few dates in France. The current drummer of Guns N' Roses, Frank Ferrer, and the guitarist at the time, Bumblefoot, we ended up collaborating in 2010. Bumblefoot, the guitarist, we remained friends, and we've done multiple things up until 2016 together. So we always had that link with the real band members.
Yeah.
And, off the back of it, we do that, and then I would get tickets to their concerts if wherever Axl's playing. So then we get the after party passes as well, so we get to meet them. As a tribute band, we got to work very closely, and to an extent still do get very close to the band that we take off.
Yeah, I wanted to know about that. Axl / these are icons. They're not just rock stars. These are kind of iconic figures from culture. And I did wonder how close you managed to get to them over the years.
When I've met the pair of them, I've never gone, on about what I'm doing because it's a bit cringe, So it's just we keep it amicable and great show tonight, guys. Stuff like that, But they know, obviously, in the past, they know why I've been there and what I do, kind of thing. Every time there's one of their members has been with us, it's been filmed and it's ended up on YouTube, and then it goes all over the internet. Their original manager, who was a lady called Vicky Hamilton over in Hollywood, she represents us for the US now as well. So their original manager is technically our manager in.
Oh wow, that's cool.
In the west of America.
Yeah, that's a cool detail. And they're as a band, I mean, they were famous for the rock and roll lifestyle, and in the 80s and 90s, absolutely wild. For you, are you able to enjoy a hedonistic life on the road, or is the music business so tough that it really is a hard job?
I can say up until 2019, that is exactly what I did do. And then I gave it all up in December 2019. Looking back now, it wasn't cool. I should have gone on the straight and narrow much sooner. But our entire history of the band was built up on basically our drunk alter egos, which acted like Guns N' Roses. So we did do a lot of stupid stuff over the years, but it made us. It works, it made us notorious. I think one of our slogans is the most notorious Guns N' Roses tribute band. Now everybody's straight edge, no one wants to be in that getting drunk or anything else that comes with that. It's all about doing it properly and stuff like that. The bad thing was that even though we would perform drunk and whatever else, it still worked. It still worked for us. So, but as you get older, you're just like, my body can't do it no more. I can't.
Yes. So when we have you here in the county, you're not going to do a full Guns N' Roses and come on an hour and a half late?
No. So it's two places I've got with you guys up in Northampton. I'm doing the Fake Festival, and we've also got one in May, I believe, at the Romender.
Yeah.
But yeah, those two places we literally can't come on late because they just won't put us on. If we do, we may have got drunk and had fun on stage, but we never got to the levels of putting people out kind of thing, ruining their night by not coming on or whatever, or walking off stage. We still perform for them, properly.
Well, it's going to be a pair of great shows. And one final question to you: will you be wearing the classic Axl Rose cycling shorts at any point?
I did for a long time, and then we changed it. At the moment, we're in between. Now we're doing the 1993 era. You know what? Just for Northampton, and now you've mentioned it, yes, I will. I've got a friend of mine who lives in Northampton called Katie, and she's a big fan of Axl Rose when he wore the white cycling shorts. So for a one-off, I think, in Northampton, we may do it one more time.
He was a really good guy to speak to. Gavin there. Gavin, the lead singer from Guns 2 Roses, a brilliant Guns N' Roses tribute act. Gavin Felvus. And if you want to go and see the band, they're playing the Northampton Fake Festival, which is on Saturday the 30th of July It's at the racecourse inside their giant marquee, and the website is fakefestivals.co.uk. If you go there, you can navigate to the Northampton Festival, and Guns Two Roses, one of the big acts playing that show. If you want to hear them in action, this is a bit of what they sound like. Very loud, very hard, and very committed to doing the authentic Guns N' Roses show.